What's going on, everybody? King Friday here, back again. I'm still here with Brian. How you doing?
Doing great.
Awesome. And we've been able to fully install CatDV. It's already pulled all of the proxy. It's generated all of it. It's pulled all of our data in. Now it's our first day in CatDV Express now. So maybe you can walk us through a little bit of what you should do, like once the main, sort of things have started. What do we do now?
Yeah. Let's take a look at some of the admin stuff. So right now we have already set up our admin user, but we're going to want to add some regular users as well. So we're going to go to our administration tab here, and we'll go to users.
And these users are going to potentially be people that are not, they're not the hypervisor person. They're going to be other people that are going to get into CatDV itself.
Yeah, the creatives, the marketing team, editors, those kinds of people that are going to be searching, finding, and watching.
Okay, gotcha.
So we'll add a new one here and put in the name, and I'll just make one for myself. And then I'm going to be a user in this case. You could add somebody as a system admin as well, but I'm going to be a user. You can put in your email address if you want to, and then put in the password. And then create that user. And then now I have a user there ready to go. If I ever needed to change the password, I can do that over here. And then we also have options to deactivate a user if they're no longer with the organization anymore. You can delete them as well, but generally we'd recommend just deactivating it.
And they log in not with their email, but with their name?
Exactly. So when we go here, username is what you're going to use to log in as.
Okay.
So yeah, sometimes you might want the username to be Brian S. And then you could have the real name be Brian Scheffler. It's up to you how you want to handle that.
That makes sense.
Yep. So that's however your organization handles those kinds of things will be your best bet. So now we've added a user, and you can add as many of those as you need to for your department. And then like we said, with CatDV Enterprise, you have LDAP options. And then if you get Pegasus, you have some single sign-on options as well. Awesome. If you are already using those tools in your IT department.
Nice.
We talked about volumes earlier. So this is where that volume is that we created, where it's watching media. If I wanted to add another volume, it'd be just as simple as putting that location here. And then I would have the option of storing CatDV's backups on this volume.
Okay.
Or I can leave them where they already are here on the B marketing one.
So in the event of you having multiple volumes of media, set that up here, but then also one of these times that you're going to press that new button is if you are choosing where you want the backups to be.
Yeah.
And
by default, the volume that you define when you're installing Express, by default, that is going to handle your backups.
Oh, where's it going to be?
It's in a hidden folder right alongside my media. So in this BE marketing, we've made a hidden folder for proxies, and we have another hidden folder for those backup files.
Whatever your first volume was that you chose from the beginning. Okay.
And then this gives you the option of maybe for whatever reason you want to change your database back up to this new volume. You have that option as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of how that works if you wanted to add another volume. But then really is where you would want to spend some time doing some additions to CatDV is in the customization panel, specifically around your user added fields. So we looked at the extracted metadata, aspect ratio, frame rate, which is really great. That's some valuable information to be able to search, but you also have metadata that's specific to your project. And that's one of the things we want to be doing in CatDV as well. So in here we have these clip fields, and this is where I can add some CatDV metadata myself. So I'm going to just hit new and add one. So client, that's going to be one that's very common. If you're an ad agency or doing kind of work where you're working for different clients, you probably would have a client field type as well. And the same thing, we're going to make this just plain text for now, but these pick lists are a great way to do it as well. And then the year. Now once again, date information and all that is tracked within CatDV, but you might want to have your own kind of year, because this could be the year of its release. Not necessarily the year of its shooting. Year means different things, right? Within different kinds of work. So let's make this year a pick list, and then we can take a look at how pick lists work. So now to the right of this year one that I added, I have this little pick list option, and then I can come in here and type in information. So 2024, 2025, 2026. So this is a pick list, and this is a great way to control vocabulary. So client name, which I don't have that example here, but if you had a client name, you want it spelled right. So then you might be using a pick list for that. But you have a
And
number
then,
of options.
populate from server. Does that mean that
Yeah.
you could that it's pulling from a CSV or something?
No, not in this case, but we can kind of talk about these. So you have the option of locking this, so nothing else could be entered. You can make it extensible, so somebody could type in 2027, and then
Or another
that would
client.
become an option, or another client name.
Oh, okay.
You know, so we want to give you flexibility. We don't want people to have spelling errors, which is why often you want it locked, but you might want it extensible. And then if you want to save those values, so if I enter a new client number, then later on when you're doing a project for that client, you'd be able to select them. That's
So
what
if
that
you
does.
didn't, so is it checked right now? Or I can't.
Right now right now it's set up to where you would just choose one of these
Mm-hmm.
that is already available. But if I made it extensible, then you'd be able to just type in whatever you wanted.
So, and then if you did not check save values, then it would only. So if I put in John Doe as a client, as a user, I put in John Doe, but I didn't have save values checked, then that means that when I went in to do that later, it would only apply to that
one,
specific.
exactly.
Interesting.
That would be a saved value as an option for people.
Okay.
And then populate server. So once I have this saved, I could delete all of this. And let's say I had some tag 2024, 2025, 2026. It will just pull in any of the tags from the server, from the database, pull them all in and populate them here. So in this case, you add a client information, but you didn't save that value for other people. You could populate from server and pull that in.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
that's
That's really flexible.
Yeah. So this is the pick list, which is a great option for how you can handle metadata. And let me check my list here for the last one. Oh, the last one is project code. And then we're going to have one for project code. You know, a lot of organizations have some kind of code or unique identifier that they assign to each project. So we'll do a project code.
So that's something that was very specifically not. It's not a CatDV feature. You're saying project code is something
Exactly.
that you could potentially start.
Exactly. So when we go back and look at this after everything gets tagged, look at our catalog structure, you'll see there's been a project number that's been assigned.
That makes sense.
You know, these are just 4 examples of what you could do. Of course, you can handle them however you want to.
Looks like there were a lot of options too.
There are a lot of options.
for how you can get that data in. That's awesome.
Exactly. You know, there's checkbox buttons, there's radio buttons. So a lot of options for the kind of metadata you can track. But this gives us 4 here. That's, you know, a good place to start for the demo.
Is there any way to be able to look at, so like right now you've got all of these different fields that you're putting in there. Say that it's been like, you know, a few months that you've been using this and other users have been, tagging their media this way. Is there a way to be able to use that data, like see that data somewhere where it's like, oh, there was a radio button that said like is completed, and then be able to say like, oh, we had X amount of completed videos so far. Like, is there a way to do that?
Yeah, when you do your searches, it's very common to search against this information.
Okay.
So when we do a search, we'll search for everything that has a certain media type. So we'll search for all the narrations, all the customer shots, things like that. But all this can be searched against.
That's awesome. So things like not completed too, I would imagine
Exactly.
is really helpful as well.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
You have a not operator as well, so you can do completed, not completed. And also when we talk about smart folders later on, save searches, it's a great way to drive a workflow is by having a saved search for things that are in process or not completed yet.
Nice.
So you can go to them to figure out what work you need to do.
Oh, that's
next.
awesome. That's awesome.
So
I like that there are productivity advances that can happen pretty quickly on your team just by using CatDV. That's really cool.
You know, and this is one thing that really led me to CatDV as a customer 13 years ago, is I needed a tool to manage a QC process. Different workers needed to be able to see different things. The editors needed to see what was waiting for them.
Right.
And so you can design based on your metadata that kind of a customized workflow. It's a very powerful feature.
This could, to a degree, almost be sort of almost a project management software title all its own. That you could, if you did have the entire team and all of the stakeholders, within the CatDV ecosystem here, be able to do a lot of that, just on their own, just based off of these fields. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I'll just expand on that with my experience, and then you can cut it later if it's not of interest. But no, when every new file came in CatDV, it was tagged as needing QC, and then I had a QC folder. QC worker would come in the morning, go look at their folder and start QCing files. When they marked one that it needed correction, that would go to, let's say I needed to correct it. It would come to my folder, and then I would go to my folder to see what corrections I needed to do.
Okay.
Once it was marked approved, that would kick off a workflow that would start a compression for delivery to the internet.
So there are automations that you can do, like saying on ingest, make it sounded like there was one that says needs QC.
Yeah.
You can say, as soon as a new video gets added to this folder, you need to tag it with the needs QC tag. That's amazing.
Yeah, so now Express doesn't have that because it doesn't have customizable workflows, but when you get up to Enterprise or Pegasus, that's what I always tell customers is every new media that gets in gets a tag as needs logging, needs processing, needs approval, and then it will show up in that folder. Once the approver's done, it will show up in an editor's folder ready for them to do their job, and it can just move through the whole process. And I was in education, so sometimes a teacher would need to review it, sometimes education director would need to review it. They would just go to CatDV, go to their folder, and see what work they needed to do.
That's amazing. Well, and then I like too that I'm already thinking about ways that you could use this. I mean, I would imagine that one way is that it's like if you did have, a bunch of teachers that were all recording with, with different recording devices in each classroom, and those recording devices were pushed to a specific folder, whatever video is in that folder that gets ingested by CatDV, I'm assuming you could set up a rule to say, oh, this was all Professor Jenkins, because it came from Professor Jenkins' folder.
Exactly.
And then easily be able to do that. That's really
exactly. You can do a lot of tagging just based on the folder structure, and that's actually what we're going to look at next.
Okay, great.
So if we go right down here to naming rules, naming rules are where you can do that. So I have this BE marketing folder, and that's the folder we said we were going to watch. So I have a folder in there for 2025, so the year that this marketing video is being done in. And then inside that, I have a client name. So this is for a coffee shop called Brewed Right, which I believe is a fictional coffee shop.
I'm sure it's somewhere.
But at any rate, so we have this client project. And then inside there, we have a code, because maybe you do a lot of work for Brewed Right and you have different project codes. And then we finally have a way that some shops organize their video, things like action shots, B-roll, customer shots, exports, narration, and then a Premiere project file. So that's kind of how I build out my storage. And then each of these folder names can become a tag in CatDV. So let's set that up now. So we're going to set up a new naming rule. The first thing we're going to do is apply that to a specific location. So here's the great thing. You've got a lot of different work you're doing. Your BE marketing work is going to be completely different from your DC marketing
You could
group,
be doing
right?
concerts one day and sports
all
another.
Its own rules. So these rules can apply to specific folders. So you can have a lot of rules on my demo system. I have like 6 or 7 different rules for different workflows, so you can show those things. So we're going to add a couple fields. I like to just add as many as I need right up front. So I need 4. So I'm going to just add those 4. And then I can drop down here and choose how I want to tag it. So I'm going to do media type and then project code.
All the ones that you made before.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Client and then year. So grab all those, and then I can come over here and you have a number of options for how you want to tag that. You can take it based on the path, up to 9 different parts. You can base
I'm so sorry, can you explain that?
Yeah. So over here looking at our storage, we have this path here. And so you're
talking about steps of the file path.
Yeah, the file path. That's where we're going to extract the metadata from. So we're going to know that this is project 385632 because it's in this folder. We're going to know the client is Brewed Right because it's in this folder. We're going to use this folder structure to tag our.
So is it going to say that the naming convention goes up to a certain level of down through the file path?
Yeah, how deep up you want to go. So your options are using the path name, the full path name, up to 9 parts of that.
Okay.
You can use so that's like starting at the top. You can use the parent folder structure, so starting with the file and then working.
And it's going to say the name of it. So it would say like video / something.
Well, it will we made that tag here for project code. So in CatDV for this project code, the information that it's going to write will be 385632 because it's in that folder. So if we go to Brewed Right, so like if I had another folder here, if if I put a new folder here, and then this has whatever code that has, anything in here would get this project code applied to.
Wow, that's interesting. Love
So,
that.
you know, most people are organizing their media. When we talk about tips later on, that's going to be a recommendation I'm going to have is think about your folder structure. And the other thing is, you know, I'm using folder structures here because it's a great kind of way to do it. But if you look at this also, you can also pull information from the name. So if you have a space or an underscore or a dash or one of those separators, you can pull information out of the name as well.
Of the file?
Of the file name, yeah.
Oh. So like prefix, like so if you're naming in your camera,
Yep.
you might be able to pull the prefix from the camera itself, or the last 4 digits of the clip or something like that.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
So let's do an example. You know, once again from my background, you know, our project codes for lessons, we would have, let's say, it was a sixth grade reading class. So the code would be 6RE_3-106. The 6RE tells me that it's 6th grade reading, and you can do these value looks up too. So I could tell it that every time you see 6RE, I could tell it to replace that with the full name of 6th reading.
Oh,
You know, because when it sees, if I can get my typo right, when it sees 6RE, it's going to replace that with 6th reading.
So you could, in your camera, set specific, oh my gosh. So you could set within your camera everything that, whoa, wait a minute. So you could set up, because like most cameras allow you to be able to name your files, but they're very alphanumeric.
Yeah.
They're very like, you know, it's going to be like, I mean, like for Lumix, for example, the default is P and then a certain set of numbers. But you can make significant amounts of changes to that. So you could set up exactly what you want from the standpoint of what you want it to read out by the end of it in real English words.
Yeah.
But they're all being triggered by placeholders in your file name that the camera generates.
Yeah.
So the camera generates P100725, and it comes out as 6th grade reading level, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Yeah, you can do those kinds of value lookups. And here's the thing, you were talking earlier about, because it's in this folder, it knows that it's a certain teacher. Well, in my case, there's only one teacher of 6th grade reading. So in addition to putting the file name from 6RE, I could have another rule that would assign the teacher name by 6RE. So you can get multiple pieces of metadata from the same information.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's where the power really comes in, and thinking and spending some time thinking about how you're going to organize your files before you get started. Then this is where the power comes.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So now I feel bad.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So now I feel bad I don't have a more complex example to show you. I just have some simple examples.
Still, the fact that is even, I mean, I think that is wildly powerful, because one of the biggest problems, I would say, that comes in just trying to wrangle media. I mean, it used to be that it was, I mean, a card wrangler was going to probably do that, you know, ahead of time. Like they were going to say like, okay, they know that it was, you know, 6th grade reading, blah, 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 you know, the specific year and all that stuff. But that was nothing that you were going to be able to easily set up procedurally.
Yeah.
But to be able to say, and then I think a lot of, especially, you know, smaller either filmmakers or videographers, they just realize that they just say, okay, I know everything within this folder that I've made. I know it's of this, it was from this concert. I don't really have any sort of like, it's gonna be P100, you know, 001. I don't know why. I'm not gonna change it. It doesn't really matter. I just know that that's the thing. But to be able to say, no, be purposeful, especially with the cameras giving you the options to be able to say exactly what you want it to be, for it to be able to then spit it out the right way. Well, because you can't do that in the camera.
No.
The camera is not going to allow you to be able to make all of that that way. That's very powerful. That is really cool. That blew my mind just now. It's not an act that actually blew my mind. That's really cool.
And this goes to what we were talking about earlier, you know, an editor does not want to invest time tagging media for other people.
No.
They already know where their stuff is.
Yeah.
Most of my customers, they do it by date.
Yeah.
Where's this concert footage? Here's the date I shot it on. Find the media from that date. But this allows you to very easily get all that information, which will help you when you need B-roll later on, but also will help the rest of your teammates. And it keeps it simpler when we have so many people that are doing multiple roles. You know, you're a shooter, editor, logger, you're doing all these things.
I can imagine you could do a whole thing where it's just like, like that's just part of your language, is
Yeah.
that it's like ahead of time you're able to, whoever's doing the Cat DV management, I'm sure it might be a lot of different people, but whoever's doing that main Cat DV management, maybe, the final, director or whoever that is able to say, okay, guys, when you guys go out to the concert, this is your camera, this is whatever your camera file name, convention needs to be. They don't need to know what you're saying, but you just, it needs to be P1117, and then it can continue past that. But you've already set up in this value lookup that you already know, you knew what, the concert that it was going to be, the specific camera that was used, and you could give it out to different people. That is really cool.
Yeah. So this is where spending some time thinking about how you want to do things is very helpful, and it's going to save you a lot of time. I mean, one time you get that set up, and then you're good to go from there.
Wow.
So it is a powerful feature. And then, not to get too wonky, but this is just the built-in tools. You can use regular expressions in JavaScript to do even more complex things. I mean, we have customers that have 20 different tags. We have customers that have 20 different tags built into their file name.
Really?
And you can do that when this is something that can scale. This feature here we added to make something that's very easier for regular users like you and I to just set up these naming rules. But you can get much more complex than that.
And does that let you do that for things other than video? Like photos?
Oh, sure, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's based on the file name or the folder location. That's where that information comes from. And a lot of times we think about Cat DV as being a media tool. So you're thinking photos, audio, video, but we have customers that are using PDFs, they're using Word documents, PowerPoints, and with
3D models.
3D models. Yeah, we got customers doing 3D models. But just on the Office Documents one, the latest version of Enterprise and Pegasus has the option to create web viewable previews of even a PowerPoint document or Excel.
Nice.
So on the web, you can just scroll through it. And so we have customers that want to keep a script for education, or they want to script a release note, or all the elements that go with a project. They want to keep all that together. Now you can view all that kind of stuff. So you want to reference the script really quick while you're editing, you can just view it right in the web viewer. So on my Cat DV system, here's some notes that I manually typed in. But the media type, the project code, the client, and the year, these 4 tags came from my folder structure here.
Because of the fact that you put them in a specific Windows folder.
Yeah. Yep, just based on my folder structure. So my folder structure, so this is my folder structure.
Yeah.
I have, these are the media type. So that information came from the fact that it was in the customer folder. If I go to one of these other catalogs, so if I come to exports, this one is going to be media type export.
Okay, so I need to say something. So for anybody that is not understanding why I'm freaking out, the problem I've found with trying to integrate additional tools into my workflow is to me, the path of least resistance is usually the one that I want to do.
For sure.
Is that right? No, but I would challenge a lot of people to say, like, you probably do it somewhere where it's like, whatever the path of least resistance is. It's like, should I be the most organized I could possibly be? All that type of thing, every time I do ingest, absolutely. But it's like, at the end of the day, I just want to make folders that are, as organized as I can be, but I just want to make folders. I do not want to deal with having to now hand put in all of the information for each of these things. The fact that it's pulling this information automatically from the folders, which like Windows Explorer is notoriously awful for trying to pull anything like that.
Yeah.
But being able to pull those things as not just folder names, but as actual meta tag data, and pulling it directly into Cat DV, is that you're tagging it just by virtue of putting it in a folder. That's incredible.
That is.
That's really incredible.
And of course, Cat DV tracks the full location of a file. So let me get this a little bigger. So we track the full location. So you could search against this to find this project code, but that's a lot more complex. Much better to break all that out, make that metadata that it's easy for you to see directly within CatDV.
Wow.
And you know, the thing that I've learned working with customers and in my own experience setting up a system is it's really hard to get people to tag, because if maybe you have the luxury of hiring a tagger, some people do, like media librarians, but most people, it's your second job, and it's the one in that moment your bosses care the least about. So to get 5 tags from a human, you are doing a great job if you're getting 5 tags from a human, and you're doing a smart job if the only tags come from this kind of folder information.
So because to me, I'm fine with holding to a specific file, file or folder structure. You know, for me anyway, a lot of times it's like, but I'm fine with varying it, because I'm like, well, if somebody else needed to get into it, they'll figure it out. They'll see that it's like, okay, there were captures, you know, final exports, images. It's like they'll figure it out. But to me, this would teach me the right way. If I knew that it's like, hey, if you hold exactly to this file structure, you're not having to mess with any other programs. It's just you hold to this file structure. The power that it is going to give your data past this is more than just like, well, what if somebody else needs to get into the project? It's like, no. It's way more than that. Way more than that. And for people that aren't editors, that's amazing.
Yeah, because if you're not an editor, I mean, an editor knows their basic framework. They know their folder structure, how to find things. But somebody on the social team, or maybe a producer or a director, I mean, other people aren't going to know that information.
What does parent mean?
So parent starts from the file location, and then what's the parent folder? What's the grandparent folder? Great-great-grandparent folder. So it starts with the file and then goes up.
Up to 9
parts. So, so the media type is going to come from the parent folder. The project code, once I fix it, will come from the grandparent folder. The client will come from the great-grandparent folder, and then the year will come from the great-great-grandparent folder.
Gotcha.
So once again, that's this whole system that we have here. So parent folder, grandparent, great-grandparent, and great-great-grandparent.
But there was that other, not parent, but
then there's path as well, which starts at the high end and then works down from there. For me, the parent structure is easier for me to think about, so that's what I use.
That makes sense.
But once again, you got all those options. You got path, you got parent, and then you got your name as well, with those kinds of divisions like a space or a dash or an underscore.
Gotcha.
So those are your options. So now, assuming I did it right, we will be able to build out that system. Now, what's going to do this? Remember earlier when we were looking at our worker actions. So our worker tasks, this last job or fourth job here is re-extract metadata. So at this point, this job is going back and looking, are there any metadata rules that have been added that I can apply to files within CatDV? So this is where that happens automatically. You can see that has ran twice so far because it's on a schedule where that would run. I can just grab one of these and just rerun it now because we don't want to wait. So that's just over here. You got your rerun button. You also have a pause button if you wanted to pause something, but we can rerun that because we're not patient. So now I'm going to go over here to our catalog and let's pull up some customer shots here. So we're going to go and take a look at this shot. Oh, you know what we didn't do yet?
What?
We haven't added it to the panel. So let's do that right now.
Okay, sounds good.
So we're going to go back to the admin interface. And we're going to go to customization. So here's where we added those fields. We added those clip fields. Panels are where those fields are arranged for you to see them. So we're going to go to our log notes. I think that's a great place to add it. And you can see, once again, all the metadata we have, built-in fields, user-added fields, all that we have access to. We know
GPS location?
Yeah, well, any of that stuff that comes from the camera, any of that camera metadata, or even things in a sidecar file. A lot of camera formats have sidecar files. We can pull in stuff from sidecar files. If you're using Enterprise or Pegasus and you already have caption sidecar files like SRT or VTT, we can pull in those. But here's the clip fields that we want. So let's add them. We will come to media type. I'm just going to add them in any order. This metadata rules version, that's one that we add that kind of makes the whole workflow work. But I'm going to add those other 4. And you can see you can rearrange them, put them in anything you want. Maybe we want to add some extra built-in fields. I always like to have the name front and center because I build a lot of information into my file name and I want to see that file name.
Yeah.
So I like to add the name and kind of start that at the top. So that kind of gives you some of that information. And then also we have information down here if you want it to be read-only, if you want to have it take up 2 columns. And that's something where I kind of like all mine to take up 2 columns. It just kind of spreads everything out easier. So I'm going to just make a couple of these span 2 columns. I won't do them all, but I'm going to just make a couple of span, and then let's get that name back at the top. But at any rate, then you can even make some of these mandatory if you always want it to be logged like that. But so now we've added that to our panel. So we're going to come back here and let's refresh our browser. And then now if we go to log notes, here we have the year, and you see this, we made a pick list, so I have those drop downs.
Yeah, if you needed to
if you wanted a person to do that one, we have the customer, the client, and the project code, and all of that came from our path structure.
That's wild.
And those are just examples from my demo here.
Makes me feel awful from the way I've been doing it.
Well, this is one of my favorite parts, though. When you're working with a customer on getting a MAM and setting it up, the most important thing to me is how do you search for media right now? Because let's build a system that's fine-tuned for how you search. Let's build this out at the beginning. We don't want to lock people down. We have some stuff we've already added. There's some metadata here that we've added, but we don't want to lock you down. So you can add all this information and really make CatDV sing for your system. And you can see how simple that is from the admin interfaces. All we did is under the customization, we did some naming rules. We added some user-added fields in our clip fields, and then we added those to a panel. So just with that little bit of work, now we got a system that's specialized for us. It's going to go beyond aspect ratio, frame rate, and all those kinds of things to get to the heart of how I work as a creative.
Well, and I think I've worked at companies that really needed this. When I think about the amount of additional clients that they had, specific talent that they were filming and things like that, and I think about how much time we would have saved if we had have just used CatDV from the beginning to be able to say that it's like just by virtue of you putting the whatever file it is, putting it in the right folder, it's going to completely change your life. It's like, I like the concept of it's just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
But now let's supercharge it. You're not changing anything about it. You're just saying, just keep doing what you're doing. But now, once you do that, it's a totally different beast. This is really cool, Brian.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. So this is where it will start working for you and making your job easier. And that's where you can get that buy-in. That's one of the things I like about Express, because with just a little bit of work here, now we got media in here, we have it tagged, and now it's easy to start seeing the value of CatDV within your work case. Start out with this, and then we got plenty of room to grow as your needs evolve.
Was everything that you showed truly in CatDV Express?
Yeah, this is all Express. So for a minute, when we wanted to see it, I jumped over to my CatDV Pegasus system. Everything we're looking at here, everything I just summarized again, all this is part of CatDV Express. Here's Express, and then if we go to log notes, here's that information that we just kind of broke out.
That's amazing. Brian, thank you so much for showing this. This is amazing. I mean, we're gonna see a lot more, which is great. But thank you for just giving. This is, I think, even if somebody stopped, I'd imagine, even if somebody stopped just at this, that just doing this is so much of a better solution than just saying, just dumb files.
Exactly.
Dumb files and folders, and that's it. It's like this supercharges anybody's workflow instantaneously.
Yeah. I mean, the benefits of something like this over using Windows Explorer or Finder, I mean, it's night and day.
It's not even close. Brian, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great.